I'm not an individual artist who is doing my own albums and records and going on tour. But I'm also equally not the guy who's you're gonna randomly find a Tomorrowland telling everybody, life is so beautiful, bro. It's like, it's not who I'm the kind of guy who wants to make music and build businesses around that idea. And the school I built today, there's literally nothing like it in the entire country. And I genuinely dare anyone to tell me I'm wrong.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Diaries again. We're joined today by the equally eccentric as genuine and heartwarming as he is, Ahmad Haffar, the voice of the Dubai. Welcome everyone.
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And I believe the Diaries, is it called? Beautiful. That's very nice. So just because of you, I brought you $1 here today. Do I do it now or later?
You can right now, yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't really have it. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
I do have 1 dirham somewhere.
It's okay. We can pretend like you've just made a transaction. Thank you very much. Yes.
Completely correct. Thank you for having me. I am very grateful to be here, Anas, and looking forward to it.
Absolutely. We're joined by Ghazala as well today, who's gonna start us off. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Anas. How are you doing?
I'm very good. How are you?
All good. Thank you
Excellent.
so much. So, just for our audience, we'll start off with a very easy question, which is, what was your first major breakthrough when it comes to voice acting?
The thing is, it wasn't about the voice more than it was about running a voice agency or an audio production agency that provided one of our services was voice and still is voiceover. And we get hundreds of requests, right? And all different voices. What happened is my tone that I crafted for one brand happened to match what they're looking for, which was an announcement job. And that announcement job got to become quite known in Dubai, as it has to do with the integral part of the city. And I did it by mistake. So I guess the breakthrough wasn't the job. It was me discovering the lower tone that I have available, which is right here in my stomach, not in my throat, but rather in my stomach. So yeah.
And how did that maybe shape your brand? And when did you realize that this is what I want to continue with and take it forward and make it into a proper brand?
I grew up on video games that had a lot of voice actors that I always found to be fun. And I happened to find the idea of acting to be very enticing and very, very exciting because you get to play different roles. And I like the idea of playing different roles because I grew up with a mother who changed her emotions every 5 seconds. So I picked up on how to go from happy to pissed off to sad to crying to forgiving and to loving in 10 seconds. So growing up with my mom like that, I got to really pick up on it. So it was more towards understanding how to have fun with it rather than just to do business out of it when it was at first. The business came later. But something about the tone of voice that I discovered when I used to do it to my friends when it first happened, talking circa 2017 or so, I would sort of shock them on the phone. Like people would call me and, I would just joke around and say like, the number you have dialed is not available. Please try again later. And some people straight up just closed the line. They just thought that was a recording. It was a lot of fun, especially the scammers. Oh my God, to this day, whenever someone calls me and I know it's a scam number, I just pick up and I do that time after time until they just give up and turn off the phone. So that way they can just go to their system and say, oh, this number is no longer, working, so that I'm X'd on all of their lovely scamming agencies. So yeah.
That's quite nice. And I really like the fact that you mentioned your childhood and how it actually helped you pick up on these emotions. So is that an advice that you would give to somebody who's probably thinking of starting out in this career?
Not necessarily. It's all about being attracted to the details. A lot of people say it's all in the details, which insinuates that you need to look at the details and you would see them, which is not how it works. Human beings are not microscopes. And you can't just take anything and look into the details of it and see it from the same perspective of another person or generalize these details that sort of match you. It sort of depends on who you are as a human and what naturally attracts you to what you want. A lot of the things that I've achieved in my life were because I always had an interest in them and I started doing them from a very young age without anyone telling me to do it, without anyone telling me, hey, you have a nice voice. or hey, you play guitar well, or any of that. It was more like an integral part of me that wanted to do it. And ironically, my normal voice sounds horrible. I mean, I'm an annoying little, like I don't sound that good, right? So
We would disagree with that, but please continue.
it's more of finding purpose for something and being attracted to the things that are relevant to what you want to do naturally. You watch a documentary and you like the way the narrator talks. You want to do it like him. Okay, interesting, but maybe you'd want to do it more like you. What do you sound like? Who's your identity? Who is you? And to have that self-discovery is very, very important.
That was very interesting. You said, what are you inspired by? So for you, apart from maybe video games, what was your inspiration that you picked up on?
A lot of inspirations.
Any memorable ones that you think?
They're all pretty memorable. I'll tell you what, it was what's not famous. A lot of the things that inspired me were things that were not famous, such as bands in rock that no one heard about, or electronic musicians that have nothing to do with what you hear at the club. I was always attracted to classical music and the concept of classical music, but not in the very demure kind of way. More like this guy lived 200 years ago and no one knows about him, but here's a collection of his recordings that sound quite unique. But it's always the pop stuff that gets the most famous, and I'm an example of that because of some of my work, like Insurance Market. That's a poppy one, and that's why it's like literally the most famous in the country in terms of my music work. But then I have others in Saudi, Qatar, Kuwait that are equally as famous in their own region because of something that I did there that was poppy as well. So pop is, pop culture itself is tailored more towards that, but you need to find ways to be diverse. So a one-trick pony can always only do one trick, and that's not enough.
Absolutely. I think at some point you discovered you have a penchant for something, right? Which served you well for a period of time. And then you have to say, okay, how do I expand from here? How do I solidify my presence in the market? And then how do I diversify what I can do with my presence? And at that inflection point, where did you go from there, and how did you build up from that? Because you were a kid with bright eyes in a big city, right? And you said, okay, now I got to solidify my presence and understand how to take that forward and establish something. So how'd you take it from there?
Took it with a undeniable level of love for myself, and every time I achieve something, small or big, I use it as fuel for the next thing. I'm such a what comes next kind of guy that I do celebrate when I achieve something or a certain milestone, but it doesn't last more than 48 hours. I've done like 90, let's say 1 out of 10 people know my name and what I do. I'm talking outside of the industry, okay? 4 or 5 out of 10 people in our industry in the Middle East knows my name or whatever. But 100% of these people know my work. So, you can go to someone and be like, okay, you're interviewing me here today. Are you aware that the music of every Rixos hotel on planet Earth is mine? Whether it's on the phone or in the lobby or social media, are you aware of that?
Absolutely not.
So
I should have been, but
how many people go to Rixos on the planet?
Probably a lot.
There you go. So are these people experiencing what I did for Rixos or no?
Yes, they are.
Okay, but when I did it for who? I did it for the brand of Rixos. So I solidified Rixos's image and sound in people's brains, utilizing something called the power of branding, which I taught myself. Like I've taught pretty much everything in my life, and I just naturally have the ability to do it. So the way I solidified myself is with an actual original approach that is very unique, and I'm very passionate about it beyond human words. And it is not a one-trick pony. I do many things in my life, but that's the thing that I enjoy the most doing.
Absolutely. I think before we get into the different things you do in your life, I think when we talk about people, relationships are important, but relationships in business, as you might have noticed, and you probably are aware, is very much about the value you bring to them, right? Like you said, I solidified Rixos and the people in the minds of 1 million people, and that's why I'm solidified for them. I'm their guy, right? And And in that sense, just on that self-education aspect of branding, we saw as well that you're essentially self-taught, right? You're a self-made man, and a self-taught man, mashallah. Eh, how did you take that as like a learning for yourself, and how did you go about that? But also, what kind of advice do you dole out to the next generation looking to do something like that, who might be circumstantially, unfortunate, or might just say, okay, this path for me might be better because I can teach myself more than spending 4 years, in an institution that I don't care about.
You can be in an institution. It depends on what you're doing. God forbid if I had a doctor who was like, oh, I taught myself how to do surgeries. I'd be like, oh my God, that's so amazing. So you're going to do my spinal surgery now? Like, God, no. It depends on what you want to do. I'm an artist naturally. I am born and bred artist, real talent, real vision, real dedication. Okay, so here's a fun fact. Okay, I've done Rick Sauce, right? And I've worked on a lot. I don't want to mention too much, but let's take one thing into consideration. Someone who's done over 100 brands, owns multiple companies, you'd say, oh, this guy probably goes and enjoys life a little bit from time to time, no matter how busy he is, or she is, or whoever they are. They travel, they see the world, whatever. I've been nowhere. I've seen Dubai, I've seen Goa in India, I've seen El Gouna in Egypt, and I've seen my home country, Lebanon. That's it. And India and Goa was business trips. Sorry, Goa and Egypt was business trips. It wasn't like personal.
Okay, so what is this? Because I relate to this. You know that thing you said about you have to fall in love with the process and not the celebration, right? Because
Precisely. And sorry to cut you off, but you have to fall in love with the vision.
exactly.
So my past 10 years or 11 years of working without a single vacation is a sacrifice to what you're going to be hearing this year alone that no one's done in this region. I mean, legitimately. Like the title of the headline alone, you're like, he did what? Genuinely, you're from India, right? Your entire continent is gonna hear me pretty soon. I can't say why. I can't say anything, but you are. All of India is gonna be like, so a non-Indian dude did X? That's interesting. Why would this conglomerate in India go for this guy instead of like a big agency in New York that does what I do, for example, or France or UK or Germany or whatever? The point that people do not sort of tend to get is that without legitimate sacrifice in the field of art and in the field of media and in the field of branding, without the sacrifice of you, there is no sacrifice of anything to come. And it is not only seen in the monetary value, it is seen in the ability to evolve in order for you to then charge whatever the hell you feel like.
Hell yeah, because if you don't evolve, you die, right? And I think no matter who's watching this right now, in their respective field, they know that sacrifice is extremely important, and especially in terms of branding and in media. If you're sort of in the public eye without being a public personality, right? And that brings me to my next point, because I understand having to fall in love with the process because you don't take time to celebrate, because as soon as you get something, you want the next thing. You have to set a goal. But this sacrifice that you've been making, which spans almost a decade now, what is it in lieu of? What is that one ambition that you're driving towards, or something that you've held in your head since you were a kid that you have to hit?
I'm still figuring that out. It has to do with Hollywood movies and making the music for them, for sure. But even that seems, I'm not going to say easy now, but it's not impossible anymore. It's no longer, thank you. It's no longer like, will I ever do this? Now it's like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Can I fit it into my schedule?
No, that's very rude. Like if a director is watching me right now, he'd be like, good, Ahmed, don't say. No, I would definitely make a schedule for it. It's a big deal, but it's like, what I love is to continue to feel what I make. Okay, recently, just a few days ago, I was with my mom and dad for the first time in 2 years in Lebanon. I went down to Lebanon, as you know, right now is not a very good time. So while I was there, I was updating my mom and my dad on some of the work I've been doing. And my mom, true story, just happened. My mom was on a long chair, yeah? And my dad was sitting right next to me, and I had my laptop and I was showing him stuff. So I'm taking him through the signatures of the brands I've worked on recently, like mainly the 4-second signatures, even though I do a lot more beyond the 4 seconds, but just showing him. So going through that, and one of them is for a lovely brand you all know probably, called CFI. It's a trading platform. So I've done the official music and Sonic for it, released it around 6-7 months ago, and they started really throwing it all over the place in the Middle East and Europe. So it's reached Switzerland. People are hearing it, Switzerland, all of that, and it goes ta na 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 na, and then it has my voice in it as the tagline saying CFI, empower yourself. So when that one came on, my mom stood up from her chaise longue. She was like there enjoying the sun. Then she got up and she's like, I've heard that, and I'm like, yeah, mom, that's sort of like how my work functions. She's like, that's you? I'm like, yeah. She's like, that's not you. I'm like, what do you mean that's not me? That's me. Like, it's your son's voice. Can you not recognize your own son? She's like, I hear this on TV every day in Lebanon. And I'm like, really? I had no idea the reach it had in Lebanon. So I'm like, no, okay, if it was only the music, like a lot of my brands, that I've worked on, because I've done over 100 now, a lot of them, there's no tagline, there's no voice, there's nothing. Sometimes there isn't a voice that is mine. Like Barakat is a female, Brands for Less is a female. A lot of the sonics I've done, do not contain a voice or not my voice, right? And I'm like, if it was only the music, that's fair. But you didn't recognize your own son? Like, and then my dad started laughing and is like, yeah, I have heard that. So it was a fun thing. It was a fun thing to experience that.
That's a testament to your quality, right? You've developed your workmanship, your art and your craft over time.
It just changed the tone because, like, to give you an idea, right? When it comes to the tones, this is a high tone that can go all the way up. It uses nasals and it's up here and then I cut all the way in the middle. Whenever I want to tell you something or bring it to you, this is the X and Y. But then, like, you go all the way in the middle and then you say something like, shops you love deliver better. Download the InstaShop app now. This is all the way in the middle. Like back when I used to do InstaShop a year and a half ago, because I only do governmental now, but I used to do ads as well for a little bit of time when I liked the brand enough. But it was mainly the announcements. It's just the, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dubai Opera, Dubai Aquarium and Underwater Zoo. Dear Centerpoint customers, like I had a friend who I'm meeting right after this podcast. She was shopping at Centerpoint, and she's always a latey. She does everything late, yeah. So she was over at mine like 2 days ago because I was finalizing a project that I'm beyond proud of, and she was there, and a few of my friends were there. And then she's like, by the way, are you the one in Centerpoint? I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, can you stop telling me to rush? Like, do you want me to pick the wrong shirt? I'm like, girl, I don't own Centerpoint, all right? I just happen to voice them. So, like,
no, this is brilliant. I'm sorry to cut you up, but this is brilliant because I moved here when I was 11.
I tend to talk quite a bit. So, yeah.
That's okay. People say that about me as well. So I will try my best to keep it short. But I moved here when I was 11. And I swear to you, you've just unlocked a memory in my brain.
Yeah,
because
but
I've
I
heard
wasn't...
this voice so many times.
Let's set one thing for the record.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
23.
23. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. 7 years. So that's when you were 17.
Yeah.
17, 4 and 3,
16.
that's 7 years. 67. So you only started hearing me when you were 16, 17, not when you were 11.
Yeah, okay, but that's still a memory of
I get it. But like when you were 17, I was 23. You get me? So we're not that far apart. You get what I mean? But it is synonymous to the city, hence the tagline that I was given, which I'm very grateful for. But it was really wanting to help the right brands and governmental entities alike solidify one particular voice for certain announcements that are relevant to the city. And I don't do all of them. People think I do, and that's not true. That's absolutely not true. But what is true is how unique the tone is and how recognizable it is between English and Arabic. Because English, it's always, ladies and gentlemen, or like, Imagine show for Festival City, right? When you're there, it's, welcome to, what was it? Welcome to Festival Bay, where lights, lasers, and blah, blah, blah. That's the tone, right? Which is everywhere. Opera, aquarium, blah, blah, blah. Now, the Arabic, it's السيدات والسادة مرحبا بكم wherever you are. So the da is different than the da. They're very different. So that voice is designed to solidify certain announcements in a city I call my own and a big part of, but the influence and impact I had on the city beyond my voice, which is the innovation of the music and the signatures stuck in your head, are in UAE and beyond UAE on a global scale that have impacted hundreds of millions of people.
So in that sense, do you feel a responsibility almost? Because now, mashallah, you're at a position where you don't have to say yes to everything that comes on your table.
Alhamdulillah. And I don't.
Yeah. and So you pick and choose, right? So do you feel like you have a responsibility for not only like the image of your company and mashallah the companies that you built, but the brand that you sort of developed that has established its presence through governmental entities in Dubai, in Saudi, in Qatar, Kuwait, wherever you are recognized. So do you feel like, okay, now I got to decide what kind of places I work with, because that helps me solidify what this city stands for, in a sense?
In a way, yes, but also it's equally important to know how small you actually are, no matter how big your impact is. Meaning, a lot of brands would never talk to me or request my assistance if I am just simply cocky. And that is not what I am. You are a startup, I'm more than happy to advise you. And I'm more than happy to give you a budget that best is fit for you to help you get to the objective you need, both financially and everywhere in between. So keep that in mind. Anyone who thinks they're bigger than life, I mean, look at a lot of the Egyptian singers. There's a lot of artists with millions of followers or millions of listeners or. I'm not there. I don't want to be there. I am someone who's dedicated to the film industry, hopefully video game industry, and the commercial and advertising industry. That's where I fit at the moment. I'm not an individual artist who is doing my own albums and records and going on tour, but I'm also equally not the guy who's you're gonna randomly find a Tomorrowland telling everybody life is so beautiful, bro. It's like, it's not who I'm the kind of guy who wants to make music and build businesses around that idea. And the school I built today, there's literally nothing like it in the entire country. And I genuinely dare anyone to tell me I'm wrong.
Absolutely. Let's talk about that school a bit, right? So take us through the conception of the school and your vision for the future with the school.
So I own a company called Mindloop Studios, right? Which is Dubai's biggest and best audio post-production house. We sell voiceover services. We sell music, composition, jingles, sound design, everything audio that is required, from the smallest project all the way to the biggest. We also do dubbing. We worked with Netflix, Stars Play, very, very big names, and we've actually done things on big scales, okay? That's under my management as well, because Mindloop is a 23-year-old company that the partner that I had, who is no longer in the company because he was bought out of the company, he's the founder, he was my guru, my mentor, and he got me in as a partner, and he really took care of me. He really, really, really did. I owe the guy my life. And he taught me how to run a business, because as an artist, has nothing to do with running a business, right? So Mindloop has over 400, well, at the moment, it's exactly 417 voiceovers on a database. So that includes Emirati, Khalijis, Saudis, Qataris. We have South African voices. We have African voices. We have, dude, you name it. American, British, Urdu, Malayalam, you name it. Male, female, kids. We have voice actors other than voiceovers. So we have the whole thing you'll ever need. And we are totally not terrified of AI because I'm building my own program. So that company, I had a lot of people pitch to become voiceovers. I'm told we have a nice voice, blah, blah. So we started doing auditions. And not just me, but all my competitors that do. Because what I rule, I am at the throne of sonic branding, which has nothing to do with composition, jingles, or any of that. It's a very different thing. People don't know, but it is. So I'm at the throne of that, thank God. I earned that over 100 brands single-handedly, ladies and gentlemen, single-handedly. And when it went from Mindloop, people auditioning, I saw a lot of people with talent that had no idea where to go. So I started building the idea of a school where it's one-on-one. And it started with me teaching 40 people. And a basic program that went from 6 weeks to 8 weeks to 18. And now with a therapist that studies their personality and character and confidence, and a full-fledged program that also teaches them how to record, edit, mix, master, and have an entire portfolio of their own, who to work with, who not to work with. We connect them with the entire database of planet Earth borderline. We help them secure opportunities. We don't get them jobs. We're not an agency handling them. They're on their own after the school, but we help them what to charge and how to charge from A to Z. And now we're a total of 5 teachers, me being one of them, and 1 therapist who studies people's personality, because you have to apply to join the school. You can't just sign up for it. There's a whole process, and that's because we want to take care of you. It's not just about your voice sounding good. That's around 30% of what we're looking for. So there's 70% that has nothing to do with your voice or how good you sound. We also built another program called Speech and Communication, which is tailored for CEOs, business leaders, and everywhere in between that do not want to enter the voiceover industry, but they do want to solidify the presence of their voice, the presence of them on stage behind the camera, doing podcasts and everywhere in between. Because you might be a billionaire, but you're not exciting. Stop trying that whole social media thing, dude. Or come over our school. Let us take care of you. And we're very, very unique. And our prices begin between 45 to 60,000 dirhams per student. So we're not cheap, right? And what's also ironic, and people always say this, is that, oh, and you don't even give us like a certified no, because I don't have any education. I quit school when I was 16. I built the school around my vision, not the common vision. We are a training academy called On the Field. You know why? You're going to like this, Anas. We're called On the Field because we help prepare people to become soldiers and commanders to fight in the field that is known as media. Because no one really truly knows who sounds good and who sounds bad. It's all subjective. So how do we solidify that? Yeah, Tora. That's what I built. And it's called On the Field. And a lot of those students get to work with Mindloop Studios and everywhere else, but also makes Mindloop Studios look better in the market because we have more options than everybody else. It's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, On the Field, great name. I'm sure we'd agree.
I have two follow-up questions regarding that. One was, I liked your confidence when it came to AI. What do you think is the future of AI-generated voices?
AI will not be implemented in the commercial world of voiceovers and voice acting anytime soon because people who spend hundreds of millions of dollars on marketing are not afraid of an extra $300 voiceover recording. Unless there's a program that is completely capable of taking over all of that, it's not going to happen. And it's definitely not going to start taking over from this part of the world. There are a lot of small brands that are trying to use AI from social media and beyond and trying to make case studies out of it. But it's not going to happen. I also equally apply the same when it comes to music. So as a sonic branding composer, I am the most safest because you can generate music with different feeling and different emotions and all of that. Absolutely, the technology is there. But to craft a 4-second melody that will resonate with tens, if not hundreds of millions and actually help your ROI and help you make money and help you be top of mind, AI cannot do that. AI won't come up with the barakat or the insurance market or the brands for less or the Danube home, which is Danube home, or so many more that I did that are just super catchy. You know what I mean? In that sense, the Festival City one that just launched, the ta-na-na, even when I sing it, it sounds nothing like what it sounds like. Go to any Festival City, say Dubai Festival City Mall or Festival City Plaza, go to their Instagram, go to the last 3 seconds of every video, you'll hear that melody. But more importantly, you'll hear what it sounds like. And the more because Festival City is brand new, yeah? Because I've done many others. But the more you hear in the market, the more it's going to solidify in your head for what it is. AI cannot do that yet. Not from a branding perspective. You can come up with great options and be like, okay, this is cool. But was it designed with the testing and internal testing and to match a certain level of recall before it was placed and implemented in the market to represent a brand like BMW? I mean, imagine a brand that's worth tens of billions. What, they're going to skip out on a few $100,000? They're not going to do that. So that's why I wouldn't be afraid. The people who are working on a small scale should be afraid, yes. But those that are aiming to go big have nothing to fear. And we, as Mindloop Studios, are building our in-house voiceover program that is specializing in Khaliji voices, just as Emirati, Saudi, Qatari, and Kuwaiti voices, male and female and kids, in order for us to generate these voices internally in Mindloop Studios as a program that will be dedicated to the company and maybe later on available for everyone else as a subscription. Maybe, we don't know.
That's wonderful to hear. And just being conscious of time. And
Just because I feel like we should segue into perhaps your passion for cars for a quick 2 minutes, because I know this is something that you're...
You know, a lot of people know this. I don't know why a lot of people know this information. I love cars. That is true. I love the sound of cars. I am a gearhead, as one would say. I am really a petrol head. I spent all of my money on cars in the past 10 years. The only other money I spent was to have a place to live in and building a few companies, right? Having to buy companies is not a joke. And building your own business from scratch is seriously not a joke, especially when you're self-funded. And I like to be self-funded. But the thing with cars is that I like meticulous things that are extremely well-designed and are bespoke. My favorite thing to do in life is to make bespoke music, whether it's for TV or brands. So I sort of should be driving a bespoke thing that was designed for me as well. My favorite brand in the world is Ferrari, and everybody knows that because I talk about them a lot. And Ferrari helped me develop this mindset. The way that Enzo started his career, I mean, he is literally the most famous car brand on the planet. That's phenomenal. He's the Apple of cars, but still does in something called innovation. Sorry, Apple. So, listen, you're trillionaires. Who am I to talk, guys? Just imagine, and if you work there, good for you, dude. You're doing well. I'm a loser. Okay, you go do that. But Ferrari is a reminder of passion. It's a reminder of the journey. It's a reminder of something that is beyond the business while doing excellent business, while building what is known as a black book of people who are willing to dump hundreds of millions of dollars just to have that car first. What a powerful brand. I am learning from a brand like Ferrari. The music I do is as Mindloop, we do everything. If you're an ad agency or a creative agency and you have a client who wants to develop a jingle, or you have a TV commercial and you want to score the music on it, we have a lot of people. We have a lot of composers, and I'm a partner in a very big agency in the world that specializes with that. And I'm a partner of them in the Middle East. So we have so many solutions for you, so many. But I do sonics. I do sonic branding, nothing else. Meaning I'm limited by how many projects I can get. So Ferrari has a factory. If Enzo himself was building every single car, the output is limited. At the moment, I'm limited by my output. So I cannot be a global factory. I mean, look at somebody who, like, say, Hans Zimmer or Dylan, what's his name? Dylan Eland, I think, something like that. These are Hollywood composers who have teams under them now. But when they first started, they started like me, doing everything by themselves, proving it. So I am simply at the age of 30 doing what I'm meant to do, and I'm going to get bigger. And that's it. The quality of my work has nothing to do with me personally. When I listen to my own music, I am sitting in a Ferrari. It's so bespoke. The level of detail that I put out in the market in the entire Middle East and some projects globally, I mean, who in New York or Mississippi or, I don't know, Montreal in Canada or London in the UK, or Lyon in France knows that I'm the guy behind the Kellogg's, which plays globally. Just Kellogg's, a cereal brand. You heard that little jingle? Everybody knows it. So how many people? 500 million? Are they going to watch this podcast? No. So there's no need for them to know, but the work is out there. So even though I produce less than Ferrari, I'm doing it with the same meticulous design that works for them.
I think that exact attitude is why we know for a fact that you will continue to grow. And we're excited to see how you succeed. Thank you so much. I think that's it for us today. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you for having me, and have a good day. Because when it comes to the Dollar Diaries, they're not just about money. They're not just about stories. They're about the people that can and the people that will. In a life filled with too many restaurants and too big of menus, sometimes you just need to get a nice cocktail at a cafeteria and not overthink things. Watch the Dollar Diaries now.
Yeah. That's brilliant. That's a wrap. Thank you.
We're using that. Thank you so much.